Hey, remember the first intro to Static Shock? You'd be vibing to the music, be like, gotta get up, gotta go, get up, gotta get up, gotta go. And then at the end, the nerd emoji is just like, Static Shock! Bro! Shut up! You're ruining the vibe! Welcome back to the channel. I am the Pumpkinator, and today we're going to be looking at the legacy of Milestone Media. If you didn't know, Milestone Media was a comic book company created in 1993 by Dwayne McDuffie and Dennis Cohen. They made Milestone because they felt like minorities were severely underrepresented in comic books. And you know, they weren't wrong. Before they made some of their comics, most of the mainstream black superheroes that we know today were made 20 years before they started. Most of them, you know, in the 70s. I'm talking Black Lightning, Blade, Black Panther, Power Man, aka Luke Cage, War Machine, Misty Knight, Bronze Tiger, Bumblebee, Battlestar, Isaiah Bradley, the Falcon, John Stewart, Green Lantern, Storm, and Nubia. And if that feels like a lot, just remember there's hundreds of white characters versus like the 14 that they made. Just a fun fact here, John Stewart and the Falcon were the first African-American superheroes in their respective universes. And Storm and Nubia were the first black women superheroes. Don't worry, I never forget the ladies. And obviously Black Panther was the first like African or just black superhero ever made. Well, if you don't count Lion Man from the all Negro comics, but that's a different video for a different time. It doesn't matter, they're all cool and black, right? They struck a deal with DC Comics, where DC will publish their comics, but they have full legal, copyright, and creative control. They even let them put their own seal on it, which I think is a pretty decent deal. All the comics that Milestone released were all in a separate universe from the main DC continuity. This universe was dubbed the Dakotaverse, and most of their heroes were in the city of Dakota. Super creative, I know. Speaking of the heroes, why don't we meet a few of them? Let's start with Static! Bro, you're killing the vibe! Static, aka Virgil Hawkins, was a 15-year-old kid that was kind of a social outcast. He's extremely smart, but people picked with him for his interests, which were comic books, role-playing games, and science fiction. He's just like me for real, little kid. He's got two best friends, Larry and Frida, who he's got a crush on. Oh, he's only got a crush on Frida, not Larry. One day, when Frida was being messed with by Martin Biz Money B Scapone, Virgil stood up for her and kinda got his ass beat. Until Larry stepped in, at least. Fed up with literally everything, his friend Larry gave him a gun and encouraged him to take care of Martin during a gang war at Paris Islands, which is kind of like a crime-ridden part of Dakota. And he really considered doing it, but although he hated Martin, he really couldn't just kill a man in cold blood, so he got rid of the gun. But shortly after that, the cops did what they do best and escalated the situation by using an experimental tear gas on everyone there. What the hell were they thinking? That tear gas is called quantum juice, and it either killed the people that were there or mutated them and gave them superpowers. This event was called the Big Bang, and everyone that got powers from it were called Bang Babies. Virgil gets exposed to the Q juice while trying to escape, and it gives him electromagnetic powers. Escaping the cops, and with his newfound powers, he does what anybody would do with new powers. He became a hero. But I'm sure you already knew Stank's backstory. They made a whole TV show about it, and Philomar killed that role, by the way. Why don't we talk about a lesser-known hero that kind of goes hard if you ask me. His name is Hardware. Curtis Metcalf was a child prodigy, and I mean he was a prodigy. At 12 years old, he was discovered by an inventor by the name of Edwin Alva, who took an interest in him. He paid Curtis his way through the top schools in the country, and the only thing that he asked for in return is that he works for him when he gets educated. So at the age of 14, Curtis graduated from high school, and he graduated college at 15. After finishing school, Curtis kept his word and worked for Alva at Alva Technologies, where he got treated pretty well, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, he got paid handsomely, got his own staff, and got to do whatever he wanted to do. That's because all of his inventions made millions of dollars. With everything going so well, Curtis started patting himself on the back and thought, maybe I deserve a raise. He always saw Alva as his best friend, and probably like the closest thing to a father figure aside from his actual father. Not quite. When he asked Alva for a raise, he found out that Alva doesn't really like him, like at all. He says he's more like a servant, saying that their relationship is more like master and dog. What the hell kind of crap is that? Well, this obviously pissed Curtis off, so he tried to quit, but he found out that he's contractually not allowed to work for any other companies. So he turned to blackmail. And after Curtis did some digging, he found out that he was actually working for Satan. He found out that Alva is a major figure in a covert international crime syndicate called System. So he gathered all that evidence and he took it to the cops, but they didn't really care because he's rich. Who knew that the wealthy could get away with murder? So he decided to take things into his own hands. He used his vast technological resources to create an advanced suit of armor and went by the alias Hardware. He operated out of his basement and used the money he was getting from his boss to take him down, which honestly is like pretty fucking dumb, not gonna lie. Hold on. This is kind of like Ironheart, minus the Black Girl Magic and like the plot. Okay, maybe it's not like Ironheart at all. I don't know, I kind of think he's cool. I would like to see a live action version of him one day, but you know, Ironheart. Maybe the deal that she should have made with Mephisto is to be in a better show. I'm just kidding, the show's just okay. And the last character that I'm going to be talking about is Icon. Arnis of Terminus, aka Augustus Freeman, is a marooned alien negotiator that crash-landed in a cotton field in the Deep South in 1839. His life pod automatically altered his appearance to look like the first sentient life form that discovered him, and that life form was an enslaved woman named Miriam, who saw the pod crash land. And when she checked it out, she found a cute little baby boy. When we get to the present day, he's actually the same guy from slavery times. When he reached adulthood, he stopped aging, at least visually. He would periodically take the identity of his son, and by the time he gets to modern times, he's Augustus Freeman IV, his great-grandpapa. He's low-key waiting for Earth's technology to get to his planet's technology so that he can get off the rock, you know what I mean? All while secretly possessing superpowers, which he uses for good time to time. While he was waiting for that time, one day, some guy just broke into his house, which led to him having to use his superpowers. This was seen by a girl named Raquel Irvin, who's a teenage girl from Paris Island. You know, the gang-written play from earlier. She seemed like her life was not going in the best direction until she met Augustus. She convinced him into becoming a superhero, an icon for all. And she made herself his sidekick, Rocket. And they kind of kicked ass, not gonna lie. My favorite thing about Icon is that he can go blow for blow with Superman. I also like that Icon has been there for like all the major Black history events. He went from an enslaved person to a Union soldier to a big-time lawyer. And speaking of him being a lawyer, because he is one, some people think he's a sellout or a little whitewash because he speaks a little proper, which, I mean, I don't know. They must hate me, right? I don't know what to tell you. Milestone Media has had other heroes like Fade or the Iron Butterfly, the Boogeyman, who are all on the same team of the Blood Syndicate. But I just wanted to cover the heavy hitters before we moved on. So you're probably wondering, with cool characters like that, what happened to him? Milestone was running for 4 years, but they had somewhat of a decline in 95 and 96, with declining sales and a couple of canceled titles. The last 3 titles that they had were, well, the 3 guys I just mentioned, but all 3 were canceled mid-story in 1997. After that, Milestone Media created the animated series on Kids WB, and it ran for 4 seasons with 52 episodes, and ran from 2000 to 2004, and that show was peak! The Rubber Band Man might have been my favorite character other than Static. During the show's run, McDuffie created a miniseries called Static Shock Rebirth of the Cool in 2001, but it didn't really get the sales numbers they were expecting, so they didn't expand more on it. So 4 years after Static Shock ended, in the July of 2008, Dan DiDio announced that Milestone characters in Dakota City will be added to the DC universe, a new Earth with McDuffie's support. This canonically would be the first time these universes' characters would meet each other, even though they met during the Worlds Collide event, but like, it's a little confusing with that. DC kind of like made it not canon. That's why after that you can see Static in the Teen Titans comics. For a while after that, they mostly focused on Static up until like 2020, where they released a Milestone Returns collection, even though that's on Earth 93 or Earth M. And yeah, 93, like 1993, the year that the comics came out. But don't worry, they have main timeline comics because in 2023, they made the Icon vs. Hardware comic that kind of cooks. So it's nice to know that DC hasn't forgotten about Milestone after all these years. And sure, that's what happened to the company and the characters, but what about the people who created it? Let's start with Dwayne McDuffie. Well, after writing the comics for Milestone, he was one of the head writers for the DC animated universe. Shows like Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. That kind of explains why Static was allowed to meet Batman and Static Shock, and also Terry McGinnis later on. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2011 due to complications from emergency heart surgery. Rest in power, brother. The things that you've made have had an impact on my life significantly. Danius Cohen is still around. He's still working in the comic book industry. And he's still doing the art. He's done art for DC, Marvel, Harvey, Eclipse, and First Comics. Some storylines that he's done art for is The Question, The Death of Vic Saga, Captain America, Black Panther, Flags of Our Fathers, and Green Arrow, Volume 6. Last Action Hero. So I'm glad he's still doing that nerd tag. I honestly would love to see more Milestone characters be more mainstream, you know what I'm saying? Imagine an Icon movie. Bro, James Gunn, hop on that. If you want there to be an Icon, it should be me. I know I'm skin and bones right now, but I'll put in the work. I'll be the Icon. I don't know. I think that'd be pretty cool. That's just me though. But that's all I got for you guys right now. If there's anything else you guys want me to cover, let me know down in the comments below. If I miss anything at all, anything, please let me know down there as well. And make sure you guys subscribe so I can get a rum of validation. But I'll see you guys in the next video. And make sure you tell your family that you love them. Bye-bye now.